Personally, I think everybody could benefit from the home visiting programs.
I think that as a parent now, I'm grateful for support more than I was before.
I filled out that form not knowing what I was doing. I am very, very grateful that I did it because it's really helping me a lot.
Bueno, creo que por mi parte esperaba algo totalmente diferente, como un programa más frío, por decir algo, no tan cercano a la familia. Y a través del programa nos hemos dado cuenta que también pasa a ser una familia con nosotros porque nos apoya en los momentos difíciles o cuando nos hemos visto en dificultades.
Well, I was a new mom and I had no experience taking care of a newborn.
There isn't like a book on how to raise a kid.
We come from like a lot of family history of, drugs, violence, alcoholism, so we didn't want our daughter to experience any of that.
The thought that a parent was supposed to be loving, nurturing, supposed to be there for their kid, provide food, shelter, joy, and going in, becoming a parent for her, I had no clue how to provide that.
Cómo pensar educarla, cómo educar a un hijo porque pues nosotros nunca, es la primera vez que íbamos a ser padres.
What I think parents should know about home visiting is that you can learn a lot of new things and tips and tricks, how to take care of the baby and what to do, and if you're, stuck in a routine and everything being monotonous, like they give you new resources and new tools how to handle parenthood.
It was nice to have them kind of guiding me. Even though I was not a first-time mom, I felt like a first-time mom.
It totally blew my mind over time. So much information that I had no idea about. She was straightforward when, teaching me this stuff and answered any of my questions. It's just a really positive experience.
What I think that parents could benefit with the program is just having someone here for you, especially for first-time parents. It can be very isolating and it can be very lonely, and having the home visitor changes that and it feels very good.
For me, having a home visitor is like having a second mom there.
A lot has changed. I'm definitely more knowledgeable taking care of her, and I know that anytime I need advice or help from somebody, I can just call her.
It's just that little positive nudge to, hey, I'm noticing something, let's find a way how to change it. And she's like, you know what, Amanda, let's pick you up, dust you off, and let's go over to, see about either getting your driver's license or seeing about, going to college, see if we can start something for you.
It's totally worth it. Like, even if you're on the fence at first, you don't feel like having a stranger coming in your house and teaching you about your little one, do it anyway. You get the help that you need. You get professional advice on things you may not know about your child. And the fact that the program has no fees or anything, it's all totally free, is fantastic.
Yo creo que si conozco a alguien que está próxima a ser mamá, lo primero que haría sería recomendarle el programa porque te entrega mucho apoyo, mucha información y más que nada como apoyo emocional, una guía, te da una visión diferente de cómo es ser papá aquí, quizás en este país.
Y así pues es un bonito programa porque pues es buena persona la señora y los ha atendido muy bien.
Pensé que nada más iba a ser un programa de orientación quizás para los nuevos padres, pero creo que nos llevamos una linda sorpresa porque Gaby es una persona muy cercana a nosotros, es como parte de nuestra familia, siempre ha estado dispuesta a ayudarnos y a escucharnos con nuestras dudas sobre la paternidad y en nuestro caso que estamos solos en este país ha sido como de mucha ayuda.
Es un gran apoyo para nuevos padres y más aún si están en nuestra situación, que somos extranjeros, que nuestra familia y amigos, como dice Carla, están en otro país, lejos. Entonces sí, viene muy bien el programa para apoyarse tanto emocional y como anímicamente y bueno, en varios aspectos del programa que nos ayuda a seguir adelante con esta nueva aventura.
Te ayuda como a ver los distintos recursos que tiene la comunidad para nuevos papás, entonces creo que es de gran ayuda.
No queda mucho que agregar, pero lo veo de la misma forma.
Que hemos aprendido algunas cosas aquí y pues los han ayudado, como este programa los ha ayudado para seguir creciendo a la bebé, como con buenos consejos y así.
Sí, y creo que también ha sido muy importante el tema de apoyarnos con el libro y saber qué actividades hacer con Máximo de acuerdo a su edad, cómo estimularlo, cómo cuidarlo de los peligros de la casa, como cosas que uno como papá nuevo no conoce, claro.
Pues a mí me gustaría que lo siguiéramos visitando aquí en la biblioteca de Covelo. Está tranquilo y muy bonito aquí.
Cuando no nos podemos reunir, nos comunicamos por Zoom o una llamada telefónica o por texto.
Donde nos visite, porque ha sido nuestra casa, a veces nosotros vamos a Willits y puede ser en el parque. Gaby llega, hacemos un resumen de cómo ha ido nuestra semana o qué hemos hecho de nuevo, cómo va el trabajo. Luego hacemos las actividades del libro. Vemos si podemos hacer un juguetito nuevo para Máximo, a veces ella lo evalúa, cómo está su sentido motriz, qué ha aprendido de nuevo, nuevas palabras y jugamos un ratito y conversamos.
A mí personalmente también me ayudó mucho a obtener mi licencia a conducir, que era un objetivo que teníamos en cuanto a la familia, sí, para poder estar tranquilos, así que encuentro que ha sido fundamental el apoyo.
El objetivo del programa es que las familias estén bien y que las familias estén bien significa niños felices, niños sanos y eso en un futuro es adultos sanos y un mundo mejor. Entonces está bueno.
She has made me feel like I'm important and I can go at my own pace, and that's all you need sometimes when you're feeling like you got nobody.
It was helpful to have somebody there kind of holding my hand and guiding me and letting me know this is kind of the normal. It felt like I was becoming a new mom, so it was very interesting and helpful, very, very helpful.
You know, there was that self-conscious part of me, like, will I be accepted even though I'm not perfect?
What I like the most is that she really listens.
The support that she gives me is special because she does it with love and it's just natural, you know? That's all I could say. It just feels like somebody that I've known since I was little.
You know, I said to Jeanette, Jeanette, you're supposed to be with me for 5 years. Jeanette said, yeah, I know, I'm going to be with you guys for 5 years. That's when I said, well, I guess I can trust her. She's going to be with us for 5 years.
Yo creo que quizás pasó como a la segunda visita o algo así, como que ya nos presentamos formalmente. Y luego ya creo que en la segunda visita estaba como todo más tranquilo, como muy, como que el ambiente era muy familiar, entonces yo me sentí muy cómoda.
Felt like she cared for Sparrow too, and Sparrow really enjoyed it. Yeah, she knew when Gabby came we were going to be making something or learning something, and she'd instantly start digging through Gabby's bags to find out what activity we were going to do.
Not only did we get the assistance with this program, but we also made a really good friend. I'm happy to call Gabby our friend.
I think the relationship that we've built has been she's a part of the family.
When I first realized that I was going to be a parent, I was super scared. After 2 or 3 weeks of meeting in the home visiting program, I was totally comfortable with the fact that I was going to have a baby. Yes, I was still scared, but at the same time, I felt like I had some sense of strength behind me.
If I didn't have those resources that Jeanette provided me, I think it would be harder now.
I got into the program and I realized, like, oh, this is nice. And now look at me, I work at a family resource center with parents and families, all this stuff.
I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to meet my home visitor, because without her, I think that I would be 10 steps behind from where I'm at right now.
Pero pues aquí pues ya los enseñan un poquito más cosas que uno no sabía. Cómo cuidarla, cómo desarrollarla, cómo educarla, y pues es algo bien porque pues cosas que yo no sabía, pues ya usted nos las dijo y todo como consejos, y pues muchas cosas que se aprendieron.
I don't know what's normal for a 22-month-old baby or an 18-month-old baby, you know. When we get together, we usually discuss and get some progress made with the baby. It makes me feel comfortable, and I associate my parenting with her, my home visitor, telling me, yeah, this is going great.
So it's nice to know where they're at, what stage they're at for every parent, and also to give, again, your children that head start in education.
If I had any questions with her, just call her up on the phone. You know, it was very relatable, very personal. And, you know, with her getting to know my kids, you know, she got to kind of help guide me along the way. I mean, there were so many cool things that I've learned.
I went from a very rough type of life. I was homeless, and she was able to help me get into school, and I actually have enough credits to graduate with the business degree right now.
The thing I really want to mention, just that I'm grateful that I took advantage, because it's something that has put me in touch with my child, or closer to my child and her development.
I want other people and parents to know that the home visiting is not something that you should be afraid of. It's actually something that is needed.
You know, because she's not just here for her, she's here to help with all of it. She helped me create a safe space where I feel comfortable enough to ask for help.
Don't be afraid to take that step. Like, don't be afraid to get help. It's always okay to have extra support.
I would say, give it a try. You got nothing to lose. It's free. There's some perks, you know. They got some great resources.
Personally, I think everybody could benefit from the home visiting programs.
I realized that my life was going to change dramatically in ways that I did not know or understand or even comprehend. I was going to have to really go to the well and become accountable and adjust to a lot of things differently.
Si queríamos era que naciera, ya quiero tener, entonces ahorita lo que tenemos es aprovecharla, quererla y cuidarla lo más que se pueda.
Creo que a todos nos preocupa la primera vez que nos dicen que vamos a ser padres.
When we started the program, my daughter was about 3 months, and my daughter's 22 months now. Something I love about my child, that she's healthy, she's happy, she knows that she's cared for and loved. Those are some of the things that I wanted to make sure that she had, and she has them.
I'm happy today with my daughter. She's the greatest thing in my life, and I'm glad to wake up and see her, and everything I do it for her.
Sí, bueno, yo también vengo de una familia separada. Creo que por eso también me motiva a estar más presente con él, de quizás también estar de la forma quizás que yo no la tuve para Máximo, y Y también comprender que el padre no solo es el que pone los límites y la regla, sino que también está ahí para hablar, acompañar, regalonear, jugar, cosas lindas también, no solo ser el guía para el niño, sino que también un compañero de vida.
I was more of a elated and thankful because for 3 months I was in baby land, and when you're in baby world, you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants and hoping that you're just supportive in the ways that you can be supportive.
Pero pues aquí pues ya los enseñan un poquito más cosas que uno no sabía, como cómo cuidarla, cómo desarrollarla, cómo educarla, y pues es algo bien porque pues cosas que yo no sabía, pues ya usted nos las dijo y todo como consejos, y pues muchas cosas que se aprendieron.
Bueno, creo que por mi parte esperaba algo totalmente diferente, como un programa más frío, por decir algo, no tan cercano a la familia, sino más bien un programa de estado programado para la ayuda solamente. Y a través del programa nos hemos dado cuenta que también pasa a ser una familia con nosotros, porque nos apoya en los momentos difíciles o cuando nos hemos visto en dificultades. Siempre nos hemos podido apoyar en Gaby a través de su programa. Encuentro que ha sido fundamental el apoyo.
My experience has been nothing but positive. Annette has been wonderful. She's on time. She lets me know if there's going to be any changes in the schedule.
Not only did we get the assistance with this program, but we also made a really good friend. I'm happy to call Gabby our friend.
I still feel the challenge of being a parent now in today's world is immense. I think that you need support.
Es un gran apoyo para nuevos padres, y más aún si están en nuestra situación, que somos extranjeros, que nuestra familia y amigos, como dice Carla, están en otro país, lejos. Entonces sí, viene muy bien el programa para apoyarse tanto emocional y como anímicamente, y bueno, en varios aspectos del programa que nos ayuda a seguir adelante con esta nueva aventura.
Don't be afraid to take that step. Like, don't be afraid to get help, because you might think that you know what you're doing, but it's always okay to have extra support, and don't do it alone.
Give it a try. You got nothing to lose. It's free. I'm grateful that I took advantage, because it's something that has put me in touch with my child, or closer to my child and her development.
Personally, I think everybody could benefit from the home visiting programs.
I think that as a parent now, I'm grateful for support more than I was before.
I filled out that form not knowing what I was doing. I am very, very grateful that I did it because it's really helping me a lot.
Bueno, creo que por mi parte esperaba algo totalmente diferente, como un programa más frío, por decir algo, no tan cercano a la familia. Y a través del programa nos hemos dado cuenta que también pasa a ser una familia con nosotros porque nos apoya en los momentos difíciles o cuando nos hemos visto en dificultades.
Well, I was a new mom and I had no experience taking care of a newborn.
There isn't like a book on how to raise a kid.
We come from like a lot of family history of, drugs, violence, alcoholism, so we didn't want our daughter to experience any of that.
The thought that a parent was supposed to be loving, nurturing, supposed to be there for their kid, provide food, shelter, joy, and going in, becoming a parent for her, I had no clue how to provide that.
Cómo pensar educarla, cómo educar a un hijo porque pues nosotros nunca, es la primera vez que íbamos a ser padres.
What I think parents should know about home visiting is that you can learn a lot of new things and tips and tricks, how to take care of the baby and what to do, and if you're, stuck in a routine and everything being monotonous, like they give you new resources and new tools how to handle parenthood.
It was nice to have them kind of guiding me. Even though I was not a first-time mom, I felt like a first-time mom.
It totally blew my mind over time. So much information that I had no idea about. She was straightforward when, teaching me this stuff and answered any of my questions. It's just a really positive experience.
What I think that parents could benefit with the program is just having someone here for you, especially for first-time parents. It can be very isolating and it can be very lonely, and having the home visitor changes that and it feels very good.
For me, having a home visitor is like having a second mom there.
A lot has changed. I'm definitely more knowledgeable taking care of her, and I know that anytime I need advice or help from somebody, I can just call her.
It's just that little positive nudge to, hey, I'm noticing something, let's find a way how to change it. And she's like, you know what, Amanda, let's pick you up, dust you off, and let's go over to, see about either getting your driver's license or seeing about, going to college, see if we can start something for you.
It's totally worth it. Like, even if you're on the fence at first, you don't feel like having a stranger coming in your house and teaching you about your little one, do it anyway. You get the help that you need. You get professional advice on things you may not know about your child. And the fact that the program has no fees or anything, it's all totally free, is fantastic.
Airport Land Use Commission. Today's meeting is a hybrid meeting of the Airport Land Use Commission with participants in person and digitally. The public may participate digitally in meetings by sending comments to the, I'm not going to read that, or orally via telecomment in lieu of personal attendance. All public comment will be made available to the Commission staff and general public after processing by staff and can be viewed as attachments of the meeting agenda on the Airport Land Use Commission agenda page. To submit public comment via telecomment, please use the telecomment form found at the Mendocino County website, mendocinocounty.org, government planning/building services/meeting-agendas. Ask clerk to conduct roll call, please.
Commissioner Albright.
Present.
Commissioner Beckler.
Present. Present.
Commissioner Wiedemann. Chair Crane.
Present.
Thank you.
Agenda item 2A, election of chair and vice chair. Do we have want staff take the point on this, or?
Beginning Councilman Matthew Kudrowski. Just looking for a nomination.
Sorry.
Chair. Just looking for a nomination from
Okay.
a member.
I think we have a nomination from Mr. Beckler.
Could you restate, please?
Yeah, I make the motion that we elect Eric Crane as chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner Beckler.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiedemann.
Yes.
Chair Crane.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll pass the gavel and nominate Mr. Beckler as vice chair.
Motion to.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion?
Hearing none. Call for the question.
Yes.
Commissioner Beckler.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiedemann.
Yes.
Chair Crane.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations.
It's condolences. Agenda item 2B, determination of legal notice.
All matters on the agenda have been legally noticed.
Agenda item number 3, matters from the public expression. Members from the public are welcome to address the Airport Land Use Commission on items not listed on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the Airport Land Use Commission. The Airport Land Use Commission is prohibited by law from taking action on matters not on the agenda. Individuals wishing to address the Airport Land Use Commission under matters from the public may do so via Zoom, email, and I presume in public. For information on each of these methods, call the Planning and Building Department at 707-234-6650 or visit mendocinocounty.org. All correspondence will be attached to the item and made available online on the Airport Land Use Commission agenda page. If there's any members of the public logged into the Zoom meeting who wish to speak under public expression and have not completed the telecomment form, please use the raised hand feature to allow staff to add you to the meeting. Anybody?
I didn't receive any. We need to check online. Jocelyn.
No members of the public on Zoom.
Are there any members of the public in the room who wish to speak under public expression? Seeing none. On to agenda item 2A, case ALUC 2023-0002, small.
Thank you, Chair Crane. Julia Krog, Planning and Building Services Director. I just want to clarify for the record, this is agenda item 4A for the regular calendar. I will be presenting this item on behalf of Steven Schweitzer, who is not able to be here today. This is a Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan Consistency Determination for the reconstruction of a residence at the property at 2533 South Pomo Lane in Ukiah. This property is located in Compatibility Zone 2. And there is a staff report available that was provided for this item, and which discusses some of the site characteristics. And I'm going to just briefly run through that. The project site is located in a limited industrial zoning district. The limited industrial zoning district is really intended to preserve areas for manufacturing and industrial uses, and there are limited residential uses that are allowed within this district. However, industrial caretaker housing is an allowable use. And for this particular property, the applicant does have a residence on the property currently and does operate a commercial business off of the site, which is a towing company. So the replacement of this single-family home with a new single-family home is permissible in the zoning district, the industrial zoning district, and meets those requirements for industrial caretaker housing. As you'll see in your packet, there is been a history on this property of some of the structural and electrical related concerns with the existing residence that's present, and the applicant intends to replace this residence with a new residence, which will be, I believe, a manufactured home in this location to have a more safe and healthy living environment. So after publication of the staff report, staff determined that there was some additional provisions within the Ukiah ALUCP, which would be beneficial to discuss with the Airport Land Use Commission. So one of the key things about this particular property is that this is a single-family home in Compatibility Zone 2. And while the staff report refers to this development being a non-conforming use, we have determined that the Ukiah ALUCP contains several exceptions for single-family homes on existing lots of record, which is the case here. And this results in the development being considered conforming. So one key policy to this is policy 3.5.1E, which provides for exceptions to density criteria for single-family homes on a legal lot of record. The staff report does speak to development by right pursuant to policy 1.5.4A, specifically that construction of a single-family home on a legal lot of record as of the effective date of the Ukiah ALUCP is not prohibited by the Ukiah ALUCP. As provided in policy 1.4.2, since the county's general plan has not yet received a consistency determination with the CLUP, this proposed replacement single-family residence does require review by the Airport Land Use Commission. However, the Airport Land Use Commission's authority is limited as it is a single-family residence on an existing lot of record, and the policies of the CLUP state that it is a permissible activity. The development will be subject to any policies and requirements within the CLUP that are applicable to single-family homes in Compatibility Zone 2, which will be satisfied prior to issuance of any building permit for the replacement residence, such as any required abrogation easements or any required noise considerations. Staff has prepared a revised resolution for consideration of the Airport Land Use Commission, which we can share on the screen momentarily, and recommends that the Airport Land Use Commission find the project compatible with the CLUP. So if the chair agrees, I would like to share my screen and share this revised resolution. Okay, so let me make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see this. Okay. So we have some additional recitals added here, and I'm just going to read through them for the benefit of the public and also for the commissioners, since you are just seeing this now. So the first whereas clause remains the same. There would be a new second whereas clause, which states that the applicant proposes to replace an existing dilapidated single-family residence located at 2533 South Pomo Lane, APN 184-06211, the site, which near Ukiah, California, with a new modular single-family residence. This will be known as the project. And whereas the site is zoned limited industrial under the county zoning code, which provides that industrial caretaker housing is a permitted use and is within Compatibility Zone 2 of the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, the Ukiah ALUCP. And whereas industrial caretaker housing is defined as one single-family dwelling or trailer coach on a lot or building site when a commercial or industrial use is existing on the premises when occupied by a caretaker or superintendent of such commercial or industrial use. And whereas the business S&S Towing is also located at the site, and the new single-family residence will be occupied by the owner and operator of the S&S Towing. And whereas policy 1.5.4 of the Ukiah ALUCP provides that nothing in the Ukiah ALUCP prohibits construction of a single-family home on a legal lot of record as of the effective date of the Ukiah ALUCP, provided that the home is not within compatibility zone 1 and the use is permitted by the county's land use regulations. And whereas the site is a legal lot that existed prior to the effective date of the Ukiah ALUCP, is not within compatibility zone 1, and a single-family home is allowed under the county's I-1 zoning district if used as industrial caretaker housing. And whereas the site currently contains a single-family residence and a commercial use, both of which are conditionally compatible uses pursuant to Table 3A of the Ukiah ALUCP, with the towing company falling within the maximum site-wide average intensity requirements of compatibility zone 2, and with single-family residences being exempt from density criteria pursuant to policy 3.5.1E, making the existing uses on the site conforming uses under the Ukiah ALUCP. And then the whereas clauses continue as provided, and then the next revisions are to the findings. So we have added the word determinations, findings and determinations in there, and then there is a new finding number 3. Finding 3 states that the proposed reconstruction of the single-family home is consistent with the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, provided that the following requirements of the plan are adhered to. A, the owner applicant shall dedicate an navigation easement consistent with policies 3.2.8 and 3.3.6 of the Ukiah ALUCP, which shall be in a form and content acceptable to County Council. And B, consistent with policies 3.2.8 and 3.4.2, sound attenuation features may be required. Evidence that the proposed home will be designed to comply with maximum acceptable interior noise levels shall be submitted as part of the building permit process of the County of Mendocino. Then we did strike reference to non-conforming single-family residence, which was previously finding 2, and also again, finding 3 spoke to, again, the non-conforming single-family residence, which as I stated previously, this is actually conforming. And then we did remove the conditions language here because the Ukiah ALUCP actually requires that those standards be met and does not require that they have to be part of adopted conditions of approval. Those are items that are required regardless at the time of building permit, before a building permit may be issued for a new residence. So that concludes the changes, and if there's any questions, I am more than happy to answer those.
I have no questions.
I'm a little curious as to how this came to be so late in the...
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a pretty drastic change.
Oh, well, you know, I can understand that concern. When going through the club, and you have to remember, while this was adopted in May of 2021, the Ukiah LUCP, there really hasn't been many projects that have come forward. So staff, we are still in that learning curve of exactly how to work through some of these policies, and it is rather different than the previous club, as you guys are well aware. So that's the reason why this came up a little bit late in the process, is just we are still in that learning curve of implementing this club, but actually I think this was a great learning experience, and actually is it's very clear in the Ukiah ALUCP that single-family homes are really prioritized and given many exceptions to ensure that any existing lot can be developed with a single-family home as sort of a base requirement, or a base development, excuse me. So I apologize that this is late breaking. I wish that we could have had time to prepare a memorandum for you as well, but hopefully my explanation has made sense that you can still move forward today.
Any other questions or discussion?
Not for me.
Open up to public comment. That's where we're at.
Yes, and I believe the applicant is in attendance here today.
Would you care to come up to the microphone and...
So what I'm trying to do is, the house was built in 42. built on cement piers. It's just falling down. And it's built with real 2x4s. You know, back in the day, they had
They
real
were
2x4.
2x4.
Yeah, and now you try to put a regular 2x4 that don't fit. And so I bought a modular already because I thought it was a go-ahead. And I'm waiting on just to put the modular there. I was going to tear down the old house and put the modular there, and that's it.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to do.
All right.
All right? Thank you, guys.
Any questions for the applicant?
No, and thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, and apologies for our tardiness in getting started. Back to the commission, any comments?
No, I just think it's important to save housing stock, and in this case, it's part of somebody living on an industrial property that is part of caretaking housing with it. So appreciate that, and I can support the project.
So do I hear a motion in that somewhere?
I make a motion to approve.
How
And I'll,
about county council help us out with
Oh,
that?
yeah. Deputy County
There's
Council
some magic
Matthew
language
Kudrowski.
here.
The motion could be to approve the resolution as amended by staff, the commission at this meeting, as was presented.
right. I can, you're going to say that? Okay. And I second the amended version of the report here that's been presented. I second that motion to approve.
Roll call.
Commissioner Wiedemann,
Yes?
Commissioner Beckler,
Yes.
Commissioner Albright,
Yes.
Chair Crane.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to hang out if you want. Good luck,
My apology.
and thank you. Agenda item. Yeah. Skip down. 4B, discussion and possible action including submittal of a letter to the Board of Supervisors related to the composition of the Airport Land Use Commission since the reduction of Planning Commission seats from 7 to 5 members.
So Deputy County Council Matthew Kudrowski, this had been an item that was planned for the past meeting in March. That didn't actually happen like a quorum. It was repeated here, and I guess it's obviously on the agenda. If the commission wants to consider doing a letter, we can certainly do that. The update I can provide is that in the interim, the city of Ukiah has already sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors asking for us to get working on this. Our office has had initial outreach with Willits. It is going to be a project handled by a different. It's currently prepping for a couple of trials, so we'll probably get back to that. But the short version is the current makeup of the ALUC is set by a stipulated judgment as a result of a lawsuit between the city of Willits and the county. And that's why we're left with the makeup of 3 members of the Planning Commission, 3 members from the City Select Committee, and 1 member at large. So going forward, we are going to look to try and modify that, in particular because the Planning Commission is now 5 members, not 7. So if we have 3 planning commissioners here, start getting into interesting questions about, are we having a planning commission meeting at the same time? So that's been the concern. It has been on and off, front burners and back burners, stoves in the meantime. I apologize for taking some time. That's the current plan, is this remainder of this winter to be talking with Willits, sorting out where this would go, and to come up with an alternate mechanism for the. Still will be 7 members. 7 members is required by the statute. There's a desire for this commission to try and draft a letter. That's the update I can provide. Further on that,
I'd like to see a letter go. I think that this was an unforced error on the part of the Board of Supervisors, and it's gone on and caused some impact. And raising their awareness of it, increasing their awareness of it, I think can only serve to light a fire to get this to get solved. I'd like to see a letter.
Just in the discussion, so we're going to maintain a 7 board here, a member board. And of that, we're reducing the 3rd planning commission, which makes sense, obviously, for what, ever since I've been on this board, I've never seen 3 planning commissioners, but, and so I can totally support that. My one question is, I'm just bringing it up do you think this board needs 7 members?
We're obligated to have
Have
7.
that, and that cannot change, right?
Deputy County Council Matthew Gadrowski, that's in statute, is 7 members,
Oh,
and there
okay.
is both statute sets what the 7 members should be. It does allow for alternatives, so that's kind of what we're looking at internally, and we'll be reaching out to Willits, based on the lawsuit. I will say if there's a desire to give direction to a member of the ALUC to draft a letter, talk about internally, typically at the board level, if that happens, there's usually direction for a draft letter, and that letter gets reviewed by the commission as a whole before it's sent out. There's the possibility that if the direction is sufficiently clear by all 4, so it's kind of a known quantity, what that letter will say, not word for word, but at least within reasonable parameters, that yes, we can go ahead and give direction to the one person to author a letter, and that for that person, if it's the chair or someone else, to sign it on the commission's behalf.
Do we have the city of Ukiah's letter that we could? That we could review here today?
I'm sure we can get it on screen from somewhere.
Because that may provide us with enough direction so that such an action could be taken.
I would ask if maybe we can move to the next agenda item
then
and come
come
back
back.
to this while I
Absolutely.
locate it. Thank
And
you.
I just want to go back to, I think it's good we have 7 just because of even keeping our quorum. And also, it's a big county and we have airports all over the place. So,
Plus, we're required to.
Yes, yes. But, as we know, these things can be looked at a little to make a change if you want to go through the effort.
And hypothetically, if we were to lose 1 more member from here, you need 4. Now you're 3. Do you now have?
We can't have a meeting without 4 people here. So 100% of the current body has to be present for a meeting to take place.
But I'm just saying, if there were only, if 1 left, resigned, gone. So
Then we couldn't meet.
Then you couldn't, that would end it.
Deputy County Council Matthew Gadrowski, correct. We'd have to make sure we can seat 1 more member of the Planning Commission. Right now, we're down 1 because we had a member of the Planning Commission who was selected to be, under the current parameters on the ALUC. He resigned from the Planning Commission, so we're down that extra current seat there. And then I think we're down 1 on the City Select side as well. That's my guess.
My understanding is there's 2 planning commissioner vacancies and 1 city select vacancy.
Right. And if we can eliminate the 3rd planning commission.
Well, that
then we
seat
can
needs to be reallocated.
Yeah, right, which would be better, because right now it's an empty seat.
Yeah,
which if
but
we can get
some
a real body
mechanism
that
has to be.
wants
My understanding of how this came to be is that it was, 3 from the county proper.
Yes.
Planning Commission, 3 that were from the other, all the outlying, all the city select, which is the 4 quote cities.
Incorporated areas.
And then the tiebreaker was selected by the other 6. So 3 members of the Planning Commission, 3 members of the city select, those are appointed, and then those 6 select the 7th seat, and that's the seat that I occupy. So at this point, you have 3 and 3, but now if we lose, if the planning commissioner goes away, who gets that other seat, and does that annoy somebody? If city select selected 4, would the county not be happy? Should the county make all 3 seats by appointment by the
planning,
or by the Board of Supervisors?
Yeah.
And maybe they're planning commissioners, maybe they're not.
No, I understand. What we're saying is, by eliminating the extra planning commission seat, we have to figure out
How not to violate Brown.
Yeah, where who sits on that new
Yes.
opening seat? Who replaces that?
And since the current composition is a result of litigation, it seems that this is on you, Matt.
Yeah, County Council, I agree.
If I may, Chair Crane, I did find that letter. If you don't mind, I'll share my screen and
Okay.
we can just look through that. This is from August 16th, 2023 to the Board of Supervisors. And if you don't mind, would you like me to read it or do you want to just read it on the screen?
Might be better to read it because there might be somebody listening.
I understand. So, dear Mendocino County Board of Supervisors, the Ukiah City Council is writing to request your assistance in addressing current issues affecting the Mendocino County Airport Land Use Commission and the lack of available commissioners on that board. As you are aware, the ALUC plays a crucial role in overseeing the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. The ALUC consists of 7 members, which includes 3 County Planning Commissioner members appointed by the Board of Supervisors. Several years ago, the county entered into a settlement agreement with the City of Willits regarding the composition of the ALUC. Per that agreement, the makeup of the commission cannot be changed without first negotiating a new agreement with the City of Willits. However, the County Planning Commission was reduced from a 7-member commission to a 5-member commission, making 3 planning commissioner representatives on the ALUC no longer possible without there being a Brown Act conflict. 2 of the Mendocino County Planning Commissioner positions on the ALUC are currently vacant, with one of the positions having not been filled since February 2023. And the other vacancy unable to be filled due to the Brown Act conflict. The vacancies have contributed towards the ALUC having difficulties getting a quorum for various meetings. If the ALUC fails to make a determination within a 60-day period, a proposed land use action shall be deemed consistent with the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. We urge the County Board of Supervisors to quickly reach a new agreement with the City of Willits to restructure the makeup of the ALUC to allow for a more diverse composition of the board and to fill the 2 vacancies on the ALUC as quickly as possible. Thank you for your attention to this matter and for your ongoing commitment to ensuring the efficient function of the ALUC, the Ukiah Municipal Airport, and the economic growth of the region. And signed, Mari Roden, Mayor, City Council, City of Ukiah.
Aside from the changes we're down 1 more member now from City Select, so we're actually in worse shape. But other than that, maybe ChatGPT could plagiarize that letter. Or, I mean, it basically says, I think, what we're trying to communicate.
So if I may, Chair Crane, I think that this commission could choose to identify a staff member or one of your members to prepare such a letter and transmit it to the board.
Deputy County Council Matthew Gadrowski, essentially, yes. I think we're needing this in direction from the commission. If there is to designate someone to draft a letter, if that's specifically consistent with where the City of Ukiah is coming from, and there were some minor discrepancies. It technically is a stipulated judgment, not a settlement agreement. That's essentially, it still requires an agreement between the parties to submit that before the court. But that would be, if there's a desire for a letter, we need kind of direction from the commission to do that.
Don, you going to volunteer? No? I'd be happy to draft it if nobody else wanted to and run it by Gadrowski.
I'm just the attorney, so no one has run anything by me. But I think you need to.
I mean, for
correct.
For accuracy.
I think you're looking for the consent and direction from the rest of the commission.
Do we have?
You have my consent to draft the letter, and the question is, are we expecting, when it goes to these incorporated areas that the seats, do we right now have it represented? Do we have a person from each of these incorporated seats here in our makeup?
Deputy County Council Matthew Gadrowski, there's no requirement that it be from each of the cities. What's required is 3 of the seats be appointed by the City Select Committee, and that's made up of, at least right now, 1 member of each of the cities. So they could appoint people who actually don't live in the city. It's just
Right.
they get to make the appointment. So I think is the key thing. So right now, we only have one person we have two who are appointed by City Select right now. They meet occasionally, based on what I saw online. So I'm not sure who's talking to them. That moving. See if they can find one more person for now. But going forward, the question would be, we're going to be talking with who else about is how else would we make up the 7? And so that's discussions that we'll talk about and sort through with them if they have concerns or not, and kind of move that forward. So, at the moment, as long as there's kind of again, sufficient direction to the chair to draft that and kind of a head nod or consent by the 3 commissioners, letter, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, you have my support to draft that letter.
Do you need a motion for that or just general consent okay?
I'm not sure if formal motion is required, but it's certainly direction given to the chair and, at least make sure all 4 people have acknowledged that.
I concur.
Yes. Yep, I think we have it.
He's got it. Right. But it will be interesting to see what ultimately comes out of all of this. Because it seems kind of antiquated, how our committee gets selected. And I don't know, I'm hoping there is a more creative way that comes out of this process.
The one that occurs to me is to make it so that the Board of Supervisors makes the appointments directly and keeps in mind not to appoint 3 planning commissioners. It may be you get 2 planning commissioners, but it makes it so that the pool of people that can participate gets bigger.
Yeah.
And it's already kind of an odd set of skills to try to do this. I mean, you got to understand planning and airports and
right.
And having people that are engaged in that is already hard enough to do. I think having planning commissioners is good because they come to this understanding the land use language.
And then what about the airports, right?
And that's kind of covered in the City Select. I mean,
Right.
if you have a bunch of applicants that come in and you have some that have more aviation experience, then that's up to them. And then it's the oddity of the 7th member being picked by the other 6. It's an interesting way to break the tie, as it were.
I think the last member should be picked by something else personally, but not the committee. That's my 2 cents, just in the sense because the City Select is picking, I'm assuming the City Select is going to pick people who are interested in airports and have information about airports, right? And so then that last seat, well, who should pick it? Maybe it should be the Board of Supes.
Then you'd have the City Select being upset that the county's picking 4.
The final break, right?
So it was a way to
Politics,
to divvy it up, keep an odd number, and still keep everything in balance. I mean,
I'm not wanting to upset the apple cart.
We already have an upset apple cart. We need to get it back on its wheels.
Okay. Great.
So.
All right. Good discussion.
Yeah. Anything else on this item at this time? Okay. Matters from staff?
Chair Crane, I believe you skipped 4C.
4C. Discussion regarding ALUC. Oh, yeah, sorry. This was added. I even added it. Discussion regarding ALUC 2023-0001 Santa Rosa Avenue Partners LLC subsequent City of Ukiah action. This is the car wash that we were unable to meet to consider in the early part of this year. Did you guys have anything for this, or did you want me to go into it?
We understood that you wanted to speak to this. Yeah.
Applicant turned in an application to the City of Ukiah for a new car wash, 85-foot tunnel in the location of the old Talmadge Car Wash next to Marino's and all of that. City staff reviewed it, found it to be inconsistent with the comprehensive land use plan because they wanted 80% of the 85-foot tunnel to be in Zone 1, where they're not supposed to be structures. City staff decided to refer it to Airport Land Use Commission, working on autopilot based on their understanding of what City Council had said during the Garten problem. County staff wrote a finding, which I personally find incongruous with the rules. Didn't make any sense to me. It was like they hadn't read the rule book at all. We were not able to meet. The draft resolution that was prepared by staff without review by this body was sent to the City of Ukiah. City of Ukiah took what was actually an optional review and considered it to be a mandatory review, and then decided that since they had received a consistency determination, they were beholden to support the project come hell or high water. So they put aside their findings that the project was not consistent and then sold it to Planning Commission at the City of Ukiah that that it was necessary that it be approved because it was a continuing use, and they relied on county staff's report. I became aware of it, and I appealed the project, spoke against the project and appealed the project at the end of June. They spent the next several months trying to figure out what had happened. Ultimately, the city staff came to the realization that they had screwed the process up, and to try to make things as right as they could, they went back to the applicant and requested that the project, or indicated to the applicant that the staff was going to support the appellant, myself, because they realized that they'd made a mistake in their process. So the applicant relocated the project, the building, outside of Zone 1, reconfigured it so that it was entirely in Zone 2. And the appeal hearing took place last night with referral back to the City Planning Commission for consideration, given the new orientation. Design, concept, site plan.
Site plan.
They had initially requested a 35-foot tall tunnel, which is on the extended center line and instrument approach for runway 15 at Ukiah, and a 30-foot tall pedestal sign also on the extended center line. This project went completely and utterly in the dumpster at the city level and at the county level. And had it not been for the aviation community around the Ukiah airport speaking out and appealing it and actively involving themselves to stop this, we would have a 35-foot tall building, which would have made the 5,000-foot runway restoration impossible. So this is a pretty major, to me, screw up. And I want to figure out how we can not have this happen again. Because the Ukiah airport is being hemmed in on all sides by development. And we spent over $250,000 on the updating of the rule book. And from the earlier item here with regard to the small project and this, it is pretty apparent that staff at the city and the county is having trouble reading the book. And that needs to come to a stop. I don't know what we need to do to have that happen, but I wanted to bring this up and air this out because this process is failing.
If I may, Chair Crane?
Yes.
Julia Krog, Planning and Building Services Director. So as a result of this project, county staff has reached out to the city to really be able to meet and clarify voluntary referral process, because since the city has received the blessing that their general plan is compatible with the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, there are very limited actions that would actually come in front of this body, except for on a voluntary referral basis.
Yeah.
So, as I said in the prior items we discussed today, we are becoming more familiar. It's just unfortunate that often there's limited projects that require this review, and so the opportunities to really practice with real world situations has been very limited for staff. But we are working on increasing our familiarity and awareness with the various policies, some of which you have to jump around a bit within the book to really get that full picture.
Have you reviewed Schweitzer's work on the Love Car Wash?
Only not going back in time at this point, because we ended up in the scenario where the time period for us to act upon that application had passed due to the lack of obtaining a quorum. So I think you've discussed one of the challenges today, which was about quorum. But also, we, in further review, see that that was really a voluntary referral. So what we have discussed amongst ourselves is really an affirmation with the city about ensuring that that is truly a voluntary referral that's coming to us.
And I'm not speaking to the city's process with regard to submission or whether or not it was mandatory or not. I'm speaking specifically of the work product being of low quality and inaccurate. Schweitzer's work was not performed correctly.
Well,
his analysis was flawed deeply.
And I can certainly take a look at that work that was done, and I hear your comments. We have tracked with the city of Ukiah the actions that have happened around this, and all I can say is we'll continue to improve our experience and knowledge of the club, and hopefully situations like this will not arise in the future.
Well, I ended up having to stand up at a planning commission meeting and argue against a document that was being used as evidence that bore my name and yours, and was used to support an action that would have directly threatened the health and safety of the airport and its ability to remain economically viable into the future.
Well, and if I may, if we're referring to the resolution,
Yes.
that was unsigned, so that's actually a draft document until the commission acts upon it.
It was used by planning staff in the city of Ukiah to sell the project to planning commission.
Well, and I unfortunately have no control over that. It was a draft item in the packet, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments or concerns?
So since, Commissioner Wiedemann, since it was denied at the city recently, right? Your appeal was denied, your appeal was upheld and the project was denied. Where is the
The project was not denied. A solution was reached to modify it to make it consistent with, and it was referred back to planning commission in a conforming state.
Okay, so that's where I didn't follow. Because
So we're going to end up with
let me just,
oh, sorry, go
so
ahead.
I can give you, so I can be clear. So when they repositioned the building, right, or the tunnel area, with getting it out of Zone 1 and into 2, then how did you deal with the height? How did they resolve the height issue of the signage, et cetera?
They voluntarily reduced the
That's what I
sign
meant.
height to from a pedestal sign or a
You're right.
tower sign to a monument, and they didn't call out the height, but they indicated that it would be somewhat less than 10 feet. And as far as the building's concerned, there's still, at the planning commission, there's still room for discussion about it, because the height limitations in Zone 2 are such that they still present a danger to the ability to relocate the runway threshold back to the 5,000 foot length if we go completely back to the north. They had agreed to drop it to, I think it was 25 feet. But there's still maybe some opportunity to, through the
Bring it down.
planning commission process, to get them to reduce it.
Reduce it more.
Because if you take the runway extended center
Right.
line and you run it through, it goes right through the center of the building. And that is the instrument approach to 1.5. So the building would still be shorter than the power poles, but only just, if they went to what they had originally requested or originally proposed.
Right.
So it's still not ideal, and they still have structures that are questionable that are in zone 1, but if somebody was going to hit those, they'd have to hit the building first if they were coming from the north.
Uh-huh.
And Comwin departure for 3-3 has a immediate turnout to the right on takeoff. So you're not likely to have somebody hit those without having already hit the building coming in from the north.
Okay.
So it's, I would
Right, I
really
know that area is very fragile, so to speak, to keep protected for the...
Well, the city
Right.
staff has bungled a 4-story hotel across from Fowler by allowing it to have an extra story. And they didn't even mention that there was a comprehensive land use plan in existence. The only mention of the airport was a 7-to-1 side slope. No, that was it. That was the only thing in the ASR, and no mention of it in the meeting. They dropped Garden right in the middle of an area that was not buildable at the time. Garden went ahead and built a building, and without permit, without review, in zone 1 that still stands, that has a 5-year-old red tag that required abatement in 10 days, and city staff has done nothing to remedy that. It's still just sitting out there. We have the tunnel where car wash, where they in their own reading said this is not buildable in zone 1, you can't do this, and then sent it to this body, and somehow magically by the time it gets back, it turns into we can't oppose it. It's ridiculous that the city of Ukiah just does not pay attention or seem to care in action about the facility or the rules. And then when we're coming here and county staff is giving us a draft resolution, and then on the day of the meeting we're presented with another draft resolution, what did we spend $300,000 on? I'm sorry, I'm annoyed, deeply annoyed.
Well, I appreciate your due diligence, because because we haven't met for a while, right? And that's a problem. I mean, we're coming, this body kind of is like coming together after 2-3 years of COVID, right? And so we need to figure out how to pick that up again. In other words,
Well, and the most
oversight,
dangerous thing that was
I mean,
learned
and I-
in this process, the most dangerous thing is that city staff now understands that any referrals to this body are completely at their discretion and are not binding. They've adopted the plan, and they now are the arbiters of
Right,
that plan,
they are.
and they have no need to, and I'm looking at that level of staff mistakes or lack of competence and finding that to be disturbing. It's almost like this body is being used as a way to hurt airports, not help them. Because Craig pointed to our lack of ability to meet as a requirement for putting a 35-foot tall building on the extended center
I see what
line.
you're saying, right.
And he
because
said,
of-
well, we have to support it because ALUC didn't meet. It's everybody's pointing the finger at everybody else. County staff saying, well, city didn't understand, and city saying, well, the county gave us bad read. And it doesn't seem to matter to the airport because the airport's the only one that loses in this, and the community that it supports. And we don't have, if we don't have CAL FIRE, we don't have an airport. I mean, an airport staff. If we don't have an airport, we don't have reach. I mean, this is a 166 acre facility that moves millions and millions of dollars worth of product, enables overnight shipping, that keeps businesses working, moves, I mean, fights fire. I mean, it's just, and to say, well, we can't stop this car wash. We can't even make them move it 20 feet. We can't be bothered. That's too much. And we know it's supposed to not be there. City staff said, we know it's not supposed to be there. But since we sent it to ALUC, we can't oppose it. It's ridiculous.
That's frightening. Yes, that is. That's frightening.
Can we sue them?
Deputy County Counsel Matthew Kudrowski. I mean, the items to discuss that project, there's just many more discussion to have. I think, at least from county staff perspective, they said that working on improving in our review of that document, and I can't speak, nor can anyone at the county speak for city staff. Hopefully it gets better as it goes forward, and if not, I think a lot of those projects will be going through the city as opposed to ALUC. So,
well, but the county can review its process because the product that it produced that was used for this was incompetent.
I think the director's spoken to that. So I probably would say that the item is more targeted at the one project, not everything as a whole. So if there's more discussion, that's the parameters.
I think I'm done with
agenda.
my rant unless anybody else wants to buy tickets. No. Matters from staff, item number 5.
Sorry, no matters from staff today. Thank you.
Matters from the commission.
I have no matters.
I've never really mattered that much.
No
Anybody?
matters.
No matters.
Approval of the minutes, October 20, 2022.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of October 20, 2022.
We are second.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That sounded unanimous. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh. Or give it to Don. We got a second from Mr. Beckler. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for chairing.